2015, I was watching TV and I saw that an individual that I've known from high school has committed a very egregious act. Now, my high school experience, wasn't that good due to, bullying. And, that just flooded my memories back of high school. Bullying or negative behavior that I've seen a lot of students emulate and exhibit. It's by far, it wasn't just him. It was a lot of other people. In his case, it was both in biology class in ninth grade and 10th grade chemistry class. He would always try to feel up on people, like touch everybody, whether he's doing it in a dominant type of, way or just playing games with people, the boys, the girls, whatever. And people just, put up with it, because, it's 2010. The internet was just, social media was like 4 years old. So when you really think about the mindset of that time in 2010, people just didn't read the red flags, or they just shrugged it off. The teachers, both of them, sometimes he would, fool around in terms of with them. They would just ignore him or just do write-ups, and, people would either take it or, confront him if he went too far. It's sad that people didn't see the warning signs of that. In 2015, he was charged with assault and breaking and entering. So I just hope for the next generation of people that, they actually look at these red signs and actually do something to try to, stop or mitigate, the situation. One thing that he said in trial, he literally said the words, "I'm sorry, y'all, my bad." And that's exactly what he would say every time he would, gyrate or do something weird or mistake. Hearing those same words from when we were children, and it was all a joke. And now hearing that I'm looking at a podium and that's his apologies, for what he's committed, it's astounding. His behavior was far from being unique, as that I was heavily bullied there. And that's affected, my life and the direction that it took. It's just that his was the, crescendo of bullying, because it led to that egregious crime. And he would take it deep into the physical, even if it wasn't in a necessarily bullying sense, although he would, plenty of times do that. Probably toxic, masculinity. That term has been overused, but this is a perfect example, along with the, the bullying, that I went through. I'm still struggling, because the bullying was pretty deep. It was a little physical, but it's nothing like what he did to, other people. But I'm still working on it as a person, as a content creator, as a human being, as someone with Asperger's, and I'm still going through it. It's not like a point in life where you're healed. I just feel like, the story can be, it's like bullying unmasked. I wasn't really surprised as much surprised that it happened, but not surprised, unfortunately, that it was him. That case was a staple, in bullying. That's a little bit triggering because, bullying for me, it had a little bit of the physical, characteristics, that he would playfully or whatever do to other people. But, it was very, demoralizing, the fact that someone was always what they call in the Black community, bucking, you move your face in an aggressive way, or they would try to fight, or they would insult you, or just wonder why you look cool or you look masculine or whatever, but your personality is not there, right? And then the questions start and the assumptions and the hostility if you don't pick up on, social cues. And, that's this very sad reality for autistic, Asperger's people back then, and, probably maybe even now. A normal day in high school consisted of me, constantly on the alert, my heart rate is up, being depressed, feeling less than because, people come at you and try to bully you or, start something. And Asperger's people in general, we were kind of young-minded. So even though I was 15 at the time, I did homeschool, like on and off, mostly on since I was 1. So I had no social cues, nothing. I might have been 15, but I might as well have been 11. You have a lot of psychological and physiological, body-related, problems from people being physically aggressive at you, calling you names. If it's like they're laughing that you're socially, or something, an R word or something. It's extremely tough. I couldn't focus on my academics. The virus of being targeted, it just sucks all the productive functions of the brain. Gives you a stress disorder. I didn't know about high school because I was bullied all the time. In terms of, Asperger's, you're very focused, something that you're studying or looking at it, it's a lot of focusing and repetition. You're very vulnerable to emotion, basically an emotion amplifier. Not necessarily limited, but very kind of, your thinking has blinders on. And when you're young, sometimes just going into an atmosphere like a physical building that's huge, that can be kind of scary too. Bullying is an issue, and it's something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It's like spiritually, destroying a person. It's very harmful, and it definitely is something that should be, overcome. Certainly some more moral things that we can do, and part of that is just not making people feel like, or feeling that you have to be dominant over your fellow youth. I would say that it's related to this issue is that it affects the psychological. In my opinion, from my perspective, pretty much any problem, that you have, especially if it's, being so bullying, it can affect, the sex side of a person, of a youth. So, bullying in high school, it affected my addiction to, adult content because, that type of fear completely changed my hormonal balance, which was, already out of whack due to having, Asperger's. So it's kind of like things can actually harm you because everything is interlinked within the human brain. I'm no expert, but that's my experience. That's what, I think. And then of course, this case, which it's kind of inherently, that, but yeah, on a broader scale in terms of bullying. I'm still healing as a person, and I hope we can, affect the future of today's youth of all levels of bullying.